shots. Tom, I gotta get
Congratulations, dude.
We can't get you out of here without talking about crypto. You've got a chart in your deck that shows Bitcoin going to 5 million.
Yeah, say the craziest thing you can about crypto so we can clip this for TikTok.
How are we getting to 5 million?
Now that's
Slowly.
yeah.
And then all at once.
Yeah.
By the way, if you got to 5 million, because we have a grid to show it, it's that gold would be doubled in price.
Daniel, previous chart.
Yeah. Gold would double in price.
So this is if crypto reaches parity with gold in
Yeah.
terms of market cap?
Yes.
Okay, it's not there already?
No, it's only 10% of the value of gold.
Wait, what? How much gold is there in the world?
There is
10?
$21 trillion of gold.
How much crypto? 3?
Bitcoin's 2.
Bitcoin by itself is 2.
Yeah.
Okay, so if the amount of money millennials choose to put into digital gold rivals the current amount of gold, you know what the flaw in that logic is? If there's this huge predilection for Bitcoin versus gold on the part of millennials, then the valuation of gold will shrink. So you might get parity, but that's because the amount of money in gold goes down.
Yeah. I thought about, and I got the numbers a little wrong. Let's say gold has to go to like $7,000. However, I heard something interesting, and I didn't realize gold has outperformed the S&P 6 of the last 7 years.
Yeah.
So
Quietly too.
yeah, so gold isn't a bad asset class, but Bitcoin. So I think even if it's not like millennials need to buy gold for gold to go up, you just need the boomers to hold it.
You need central banks around the world to buy it and hold it, which they are.
That's right.
Okay. Do you get involved in any of these conversations about Bitcoin reserve? Like, are you talking to people that are involved in this at all, or not really?
Well, there is. I'm not going to the White House this week. I'm not invited, but we do have conversations with Congress people.
Okay.
But
Are they like, Tom, what do you think if we do this?
they're like, can you pump my coin?
Yeah,
He's a good idea. Why would we have a Bitcoin strategic reserve?
I think it makes a lot of sense.
Why?
Well, we already have one. We've confiscated Bitcoin.
All right, but why do you think it makes sense?
Why should we buy more?
If Bitcoin becomes the backbone of a new financial system, which it really is, it's the king of the remittances. It is the immutable blockchain, and people have a lot of reasons that they trust it. In 14 years, no one's broken it, and there's no replacement. Then if the U.S. owns 1 million Bitcoin, they'll be the largest holder of Bitcoin.
But what are we doing with it? We're facilitating trade with it, or we're just holding it?
Well,
if it's a strategic reserve, with a strategic petroleum reserve, they use it. When there's like an oil shortage, or there's a problem, or there's a dislocation, they will tap the reserve.
But yeah.
And then when prices calm down, they'll add it back. How does to Michael's question, how does a Bitcoin strategic reserve function?
Okay.
Would there be a shortage of Bitcoin? And we add to what?
These are good questions, but keep this in mind. So oil's a strategic commodity.
Clearly.
Okay. Now, oil only has 7 buyers, really. It's the refiners. Oil, that's produced everywhere, it's really just bought by refiners.
Who then turn it into something
Yeah,
useful.
to distillates and gasoline.
Okay.
But there's really only 7 buyers. And so if you look at oil, the oil market that's bought for distillate, and then take the total trading volume of oil against that, what do you think the ratio is?
I don't know, tiny, right?
400. For every dollar of oil that's bought it's traded 400 times on speculation.
Wow. Okay.
So you need a strategic petroleum reserve because there's so much price speculation around it that you could be whipsawed if you didn't control some way to manage prices.
Okay. So Bitcoin is the same.
Yeah. So let's say Bitcoin,
speculation around
let's say that it becomes 10% of people's net worth, and banks start to use it to secure information. Because remember, the blockchain, you can just store 1 pixel of a 10 million page document, but the hash will detect if you changed 1 pixel. So that's why you're going to use the Bitcoin to secure information, right? Well, that's really valuable, but then wouldn't the U.S. want to be able to control this blockchain or exert some way to censor it somehow?
Okay.
And, once banks start trading Bitcoin, like Citadel, it will probably be the most profitable product for Goldman and JP
Because of
Morgan.
how volatile it is,
Yeah.
bid-ask spreads are wider.
Correct. And if
Okay.
oil's traded 400 times, Bitcoin might be 1,000 times. It's going to be a hugely traded commodity.
Okay, so this is a productive thing, even though, to my earlier point, we have a budget deficit, we have tons of debt. This is a project that we should also undertake now because it might come in handy at some point in the future.
Yeah, well, the U.S. owns 200,000 Bitcoin,
Right.
as long as it's not, those keys are safe.
Okay.
And so let's say they buy 800,000 more through the Exchange Stability Fund, so another 80 billion.
If they do that, I think the price goes to $1 million too. I just don't know that they're going to do that.
Yeah, but then if Bitcoin gets to 36 million, there's
Yeah.
no national debt.
Okay. In that fantasy, who do you sell the Bitcoin to pay off the debt, though? I've heard that before.
Michael Saylor, hello.
So Michael Saylor buys the Bitcoin from us, and we use the proceeds to extinguish our debt.
Well, it's not, you don't need to sell it because it's almost the same thing as like if Nvidia is 3 trillion, it's not like someone say, oh, well, you're going to liquidate all 3 trillion, so it's not worth 3 trillion. It's as long as the value is stored at that level
Okay.
and you can still trade
Then
it.
we could say it's an asset that offsets the debt that we have. We don't have to use it to pay down the debt.
Yeah.
We could just say we're backing that
Yeah.
debt with this asset.
I'll guarantee you if Bitcoin got to 36 million, okay, theoretically, the U.S. cost of debt would go to zero.
Okay.
They would have because they have zero net debt.
What's going to happen on Friday?
I think, okay, so the base case, I think it's a really bad jobs report, maybe 50,000. I think the market panics, but Powell's speaking at 12:30, and you're going to see the May odds 100%.
Because Powell's gonna make it all better. Like he's gonna calm people down. Like we're aware of the situation.
Well, because this is like now with Atlanta, GDP now negative, and then jobs. This is not like the film EBT cards. So it's actually all inflationary.
Yeah.
Italy reduced their border crossings, and it had the same profile of not highly employed crossings, and their economy is doing better.
Okay.
And actually, it's not led to inflation. It's actually led to improved growth.
Okay. So this is not something that we need to worry about stoking inflation, having less migration.
Yeah. I don't know how it's going to be implemented, but if ISIS is not, they can't boot 20 million people, but if they're targeting, criminal gangs and stuff,
Yeah.
I think it's actually going to be positive social fabric.
Well, I do too, and this is what the people voted for this
Yeah.
time around. This was like a really big issue.
Yeah, and for someone who thinks Trump doesn't like migrants or immigrants, all of his properties employ many people on.
Shh, don't say that.
So I think he knows.
The mics are on. Yeah. All right. And he's a builder, so he's aware.
Yeah, very well aware.
Okay. Polymarket probability of a U.S. recession hits 38%. What do you do with this stuff? It was highly predictive of the U.S. presidential election. Do we throw it out when they try their hand at economics and not politics?
Can someone pull up the dollar amounts for contracts for that?
It's like $18. No, I don't know. But we know it's mostly overseas, the people who are doing these bets. But I don't know what the dollar
Because if
is.
it's not involving millions, someone is just making fun bets.
Can you find out how much money is betting on recession?
Yeah, usually on the website, it'll show you the total contract volume.
What is this?
Outstanding.
I'm looking now. Keep going. Give me a minute.
Okay.
I'm not on the scene a lot.
Okay.
That's why, with the elections, it was hundreds. There was actually $1 billion of open contracts.
big money.
So you knew it was real money.
Okay, let's say this is a lot of money. What would your thoughts be about the meaning in something like this?
See, let's say that gets to 50.
Yeah.
The White House is playing with fire and Fed's playing with fire.
Okay. So you
the
think
will come
people
back.
should be paying attention to this?
If this is liquid, the Fed better be watching this.
All right, I'm going to tell you right now, before Michael finds the number, and we may not find it, I'm going to tell you I doubt it's anywhere near as much money as was betting on the election. I just don't think people randomly are like, let me place a bet on U.S. recession. I do think everybody wanted to place a bet on the presidential election.
That's right.
So let's assume this is not as liquid.
And this looks so choppy, it looks like one trade swings this.
These are not large bets.
They're not, right?
No.
Yeah, I wouldn't bet that.
Almost all of them are under 10 grand.
What do you think about probability markets in general?
I think it's
So you like fascinated
it's
by them?
it's an experiment, and I think it's super useful.
Okay, I agree. I'm not sure how, but I could see it becoming part of the toolkit of people that follow markets and
Yeah.
economy. Okay. We did the
We
rate.
did that right. Let's talk about granny shots.
Yeah. So you launched an ETF. I told you not to do it, but I only told you not to do it because I'm so protective of you. What I said was, oh shit, now he's going to have a quote unquote public track record
Yeah.
that people are going to harass him about when the market goes down. But you didn't care. You're not afraid of what people think.
No.
And you plowed through, and the thing was received pretty well. People
Dude,
are into it.
almost $1 billion in assets. And you
Yeah.
kind of just launched it. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Thank you.
All right. So let's for people that haven't heard your previous appearances here and are unaware of the concept here, these are stocks that you think are like layups, basically. A granny shot, like shooting a free throw underhanded, like Rick Barry.
Yeah, and you
Okay.
want to own it. You're not trading them.
Yeah.
So we're trying to find essentially what's equivalent of like, like your idea of permanent stocks. But we do rotate it. But the reason we sort of have this idea is we have themes that like span multiple decades. Cybersecurity, millennials, AI, Fed cycles.
Okay. So your idea is that these are stocks that are enduring. The story behind
Yeah,
that
they're
is
linked.
bigger than the stock itself.
Yeah, they're linked to generational ideas.
Okay. I love that idea.
And we only add a stock that appears in more than one theme. So you want to say like, hey, these are the stocks most linked to cybersecurity, but let's say that's 50 stocks. But then we want to say, is it linked to any of the other 6 themes? So it has to be appearing at least 2 themes, because then we figured there's 2 legs to support the stock.
So if one story goes away, it's on there for a reason.
Yeah, it's anchored. Yeah.
Okay.
Does it mean that you wouldn't own a stock like CrowdStrike, which is like purely in one theme?
Well, CrowdStrike is actually a granny shot.
AI and cybersecurity.
Yes, that's right.
Oh,
Yeah.
You're good, Josh.
Yeah.
All right. So I have a million questions. How many holdings?
There's 35 stocks.
Is that static? It will always be 35?
It's not a predetermined number, but has always ended up averaging around 35.
How close are you trying to get the initial position weighting to the other weightings? Are we trying to equal weight or
Yes,
not?
it's quarterly rebalanced to equal weight.
Okay.
And it would have done better, as you would know, if we never rebalanced, because NVIDIA has been part of the granny shots list since 2019.
But that's what you're telling people. In hindsight, would you have done a semi-annual rather than a quarterly? Because you're going to throttle the best stocks, but
Yes,
you're also
that's-
going to reduce volatility. So it's kind of a double-edged sword by rebalancing that frequently.
Yeah, and it ends up being under 100% annual turnover.
Okay.
So it's not like we're turning over the portfolio. And the ETF has the tax efficiency because no one's having to sit through capital gains through the rebalances. So that's
Okay.
advantageous.
Okay. So it's all right. So it's 35 names right now. They're roughly equal weighted, and then during the course of the quarter, they're going to move around, of course.
Yeah.
So, like for example, your top 10 names: Progressive, Apple, Abbott, Garmin, S&P Global, Bank of New York Mellon, Costco, Palo Alto, Microsoft, Netflix. So you have Mag 7 names in here, which
Yeah.
makes sense. They probably address 5 themes.
Correct.
How does Progressive Corporation become the largest current weighting in the index?
And part of that is just performance since the rebalance for
I'm sure
Progressive.
stocks are doing really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Progressive is actually linked to a seasonal theme. So it is linked to the PMIs.
Power of Christmas. What's-
No, the
Okay.
PMIs. So we look at like what is correlated to PMIs for this period. So that's like what we call a seasonal rotation.
Okay.
But Progressive is a millennial stock because, when you look at who, like, millennials will account for like 72% of all the growth in financial services spending.
Wow.
So companies that are innovative are going to do really well because millennials essentially buy their it's like a growth industry within financial services.
Okay. So Progressive is, of all the insurers, that's the one that best represents that theme.
Correct.
How do you decide that? How much of this is quantitative versus like somebody like really looking qualitatively at these companies?
It's both. So we have a quantitative process. It's called DQM. So it is actually it's the quantitative
Yeah, dairy
expression of,
metrics. Sure.
yeah, of my
Familiar.
of all the work I did at JP Morgan, we built a single quantitative model. And so that is what runs to improve the quality breakdown. And then we do have a technical view from Mark.
Okay.
And then we, of course, look at the company, make sure it actually fits the theme. So it's a multi-step process.
Are there knockout factors, like if one of these companies says, oh, shit, we have to restate 3/4 worth of earnings?
Yeah.
And you guys immediately get out of it so that there's like this quality.
Yeah. So in theory,
Maintenance.
Super Micro,
Yeah.
in the research version of the granny shots, it used to exist in it, and it was a very big performer. But then as soon as there was auditing and compliance, it couldn't qualify.
So you guys will get people out of those names immediately if
But
there's
you-
some sort of factor that is just like, we can't be in this while
Yeah.
that gets sorted out.
Now there was a drawdown with Super Micro. But it had already produced a lot of returns for the granny.
Okay.
list.
What kind of feedback are you getting from the investors there's probably a lot of people that don't buy your research, but they're fans of yours because of you appear and you make commentary. So now people feel like they can invest in some of your ideas.
Yeah.
What kind of feedback do you get from those people?
It's been very good feedback.
Wait till the bear market.
Yeah. Well, there is a lot of hand holding that's required.
Oh, as an ETF?
Huh.
Yes. And so what we
What
do,
do you do, webinars?
I do a weekly video that is available to the public, but we have, I think, 35,000 people signed up for the Granny Shots distribution list, which you can from the website, grannyshots.com. And we push out a weekly video so they know what's happening to holdings.
That's what you should use AI for. You should not be forced to do that.
Yeah.
Weekly videos a lot.
It is, but we found people say it really helps them understand what's happening with their money.
So it helps them hold the fund.
Yeah,
That's
because
really critical thing.
yeah, so we're not hiding that there might be some, Palantir hit or Nvidia hit, but then in their minds they know that how to contextualize that, and it's not a mysterious.
You know what else is useful about that? In the process of talking about the fund, over time, people could get a better and better sense of how you think about the holdings themselves and the way that you invest.
Yeah.
Like not just the companies specifically, but like what would make you sell it? What would make, right? Or what would make you keep a stock?
Yeah,
So that takes time for people to really learn.
yeah. Like in the video we just released, we explained the whole idea of millennials and how much they're going to represent of like babies born in cars, and why if you did a similar generational bet with the boomers, you vastly outperformed the market. So you want to find the stocks that are most tied to millennials right now.
Is this the start of a product suite?
Yes.
Who'd you put this out there? Is this Tidal?
Yes, we worked with Tidal.
Okay, so is Tidal calling you like every day? Hey, Tom, your next $1 billion idea, please. Like, we're ready. What do you got?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's Tidal and many other providers have contacted us with
International
ideas.
granny shots?
I think international.
I give you a great name for it. Abuelita, right? Spanish for
Abuelita,
you don't hate it.
Small grannies,
Small little grannies,
young
Yeah.
grannies. Tom,
mid grannies,
granny aristocrats.
grandpa.
Grandpa shots.
Tom,
All
I
right.
gotta get
Congratulations, dude.
We can't let you out of here without talking about crypto. You've got a chart in your deck that shows Bitcoin going to 5 million.